is funky slide guitar music that comes on every Monday through Friday live 5 in the Evo Network, Rumble, X, YouTube. Check us out, subscribe, type in iNewsWire, Roy Blecker. You'll see my nice, shining, smiling face. Well, this is it. We're putting a wrap on 2025. Just a few more scant 7 hours or 6 hours, and it'll be done. We'll be into 2026, which we have determined 2026 is going to be the year of the badass. Oh, seems to be getting a lot of play. I've run that across. People seem to be responding positively to that little situation, so we shall see how that goes. Some of the things we'll be covering today, of course, the largest fraud, corruption scandals have been breaking all across the U.S., not only with daycare, but healthcare fraud, election fraud, and all sorts of things have just been busting out this last week as we roll out 2025. Obamacare has failed. The subsidies are gone. It's about time. Let's get back to a healthcare system that actually works. It's stupid. Let's stop doing stupid. Can we at least get to that point? Vagrant on vagrant stabbing in a brutal attack in Riverside. A Riverside County fireman dies at the house fire after suffered some sort of medical emergency and died at the hospital, so rest easy, sir. Missing man Daniel Hernandez, who's been missing for a week, was found out on Highway 74 out in the lower desert area, and they made a big rescue of that. A teen was shot at the Moval Mall last night, Tuesday night. A street brawl turned into 2 stabbings in the IE. Was Susan Shelley, and more yet to come. Want to talk about this, and the average American is just, let's say, pissed off. They want to see their tax dollars quit being stolen. They want to see the crooks and the criminals put in jail. They want opportunity, especially the younger folks. They don't see an America generations previously experienced, and they're pissed, and rightfully so. This is what the average American is thinking, according to this young lady. Here we go.
American is starting to feel as major corruption is being exposed, especially now with the case in Minnesota and the daycare fraud. This is not just about money being stolen anymore. It's about a growing feeling that being a good citizen, being a hardworking person, paying your taxes may not be worth it. People are starting to feel stupid. They think, well, I'm here, I'm playing by the rules, I am working hard, I'm providing for my family, I'm doing the hard work, and I'm the idiot.
She makes an extremely, extremely great point. You feel like an idiot because you are. People are you're out there busting your ass, and somebody else is getting a free ride off of you. Americans have every right to be pissed off.
You see the memes online and we laugh, like, oh, me on my way to work, thinking that I should have just opened a daycare center in Minnesota and made millions. And again, it is funny, but it's also deeply sad, because the next thing is, why am I even doing this? And that's the part that no one wants to talk about, because
yes, This is where collectivism fails. Oh, we're all going to put everything into a big pie. All the riches, we're all going to divide it up equally. Oh, this one's unfortunate and we can't have this and that. Oh, everything's going to be perfect. We damn near crashed this country before it even started with collectivism. It's a good thing George Washington had a head on his shoulders in the three percenters, because everybody else was ready to toss it in. But when you take the incentive, when you go out and bust your ass and you do not reap the rewards from your hard work, you're just going to say F it. And that's why collectivism, Obamacare, we'll get into a little bit, fail.
This kind of feeling shapes culture. I come from Brazil, as you know, and in Brazil we have this thing we call the Brazilian way, which is the idea that there's always a shortcut, there's always a loophole, a way to take advantage of a situation. And people think it comes out of nowhere. Oh, it's just the Brazilian way of living. No, this comes from years of Brazilian people being robbed and nothing being done with the thieves. So we now think that survival means cheating the system before it cheats you.
There you go. She's absolutely right. 1,000%. This is how it works. Lock, stock, and barrel. I mean, you cannot. This is what will happen. When you think you can game the system or what, then everybody figures out how to game the system and it all collapses. Collectivism, totalitarianism, all that only works for the dictator. Everybody else eats ass. And that's a plain hard truth on this.
Eventually, people stop believing that being honest is rewarded. When a society teaches its citizens that being honest makes you a loser, well, that's really dangerous. You don't just lose money. You lose trust. You lose dignity. You lose the culture that holds it all together. And once that's gone, it's really hard to get back.
1,000%, you're not getting it back. Not that it's not hard to get back. You're not getting it back. And again, who's going to go out there and bust their rear end, sacrifice, just have somebody else take everything you've worked for? You'd be a complete idiot to do that, to keep doing that. Talk about the definition of insanity. And that's what this young lady's talking about right here. If we don't fix this, if we don't get our badass on in 2026, it's going to go down the tube fast. If this Mamdani, Socialist Democrats, what this young lady just explained is exactly what Bernie Sanders and AOC and Mamdani and on and on and on, Gretchen Whitmer, Gavin Newsom, Nancy Pelosi, Barack Obama, whomever, she's explaining exactly how they strip you of your wealth, your opportunity, and then your humanity. And that's an absolute crying shame. Yes, it is. And we'll pick up with some more of this stuff. The Obamacare, more on the fraud that's now being discovered all across the nation. It's truly staggering. It is truly staggering of how we dug ourselves into this. The good news is, prompted by the Nick Shirley interview, or let's say YouTubers, of starting the ball rolling. You know, we played some clips of Nick Shirley when he was out here earlier in the year, out here in California, and not very many were paying attention except listeners to this show were familiar with his trips we ran from Kamalaville. I don't know if we get to him today, but we had some of the clips where he was with County Supervisor Jim Desmond down in the San Diego area, which has been experiencing tons of just absolute, oh, come on, would you fucking move? I don't know where that came from. Somewhere that was, I didn't even say that. Something I got on. I don't know what. This is one of those weird things of where, see if that shuts it off. I got something open in there. Yeah, it's in here somewhere. Somewhere I clicked something on. One of my great. Oh, jeez. But anyway, it was one of the just absolute ridiculously dumb things we've done in 25. And the more we work at this, and the more we eliminate things like the Mockingbird media and get YouTubers like Nick Shirley and the many that are coming out there, we got a chance to turn this stuff around. And turn it around we must. Because it's imperative that we fix stuff like this. Get the right one up here. Obamacare has failed. Failed miserably. Under Obamacare, healthcare prices went up year after year. Premiums have gone up by double digits. Choices have gone down. The subsidies, as they call them, are over this year or today or here in about 6 or 7 hours. It's not subsidies. That's taking hard-earned money from somebody else and giving it to you. And that was just to supposedly kickstart this, and the subsidies were supposed to end. Here it is 15 years later, whatever it's been, on Obamacare. And, oh, we can't get rid of the subsidies. I hope Trump holds his guns. But that goes back to the failure like the young lady was talking about. You take, when you're busting your butt, and you do not keep the fruits of your labor, you're going to say the hell with this. And then when everybody starts that's the incentive of collectivism, is failure. Obamacare has failed. It's given you 3 times as much cost for half the health care. But they sold it to you as free, free, free. That was a lie. And you know it. It's one of the conundrums that we have. And I know people want to believe the make-believe. Oh, somebody else is going to pay for it. No. Ultimately, you, the end consumer, pay for it. This stuff is absolutely dumb. But hopefully, John McCain screwed Trump in the first administration when they were going to repeal and replace it. You don't need to really replace it with anything. Let's get back to the free market. How it used to be, we built the finest healthcare system in the world without getting the government involved in every frickin' aspect of it. Now that we have, it has failed. And until we get our heads out of our ass on this stuff, it's never going to change. Hopefully we do. One update, B.S. Rob Bonta, which is not surprising, has signed the appeal that the Thomas More Society and their clients won to let parents know. The parents have a right to know what's going on with their kids in schools. Of course, Newsom, Rob Bonta, the kooks, the Socialist Democrats. Again, not only do they want all your money, they want your kids too. Absolutely. As Chantal would say, incredible. Stephen Miller lays it out perfectly. What if I told you our national debt is the tab for the mass looting of the American economy and the mass theft of the American dream? That's what that young lady and almost 350 million Americans are experiencing. And we got to drill this through our head. We've got to cut $1 trillion out of the federal budget. Eliminating the Obamacare subsidies. Let's repeal the whole stupid thing and get back to a free market system in healthcare. Is it 100% perfect? No. Is it the best system we know in the history, all of recorded human history? Yes. Let's start with that. Nick Shirley was, and we played the clip of Newsomville, Kamala City up in Oakland. He was with Supervisor Jim Desmond out here when he was out here earlier this year. Here we go.
And what's it like here in San Diego with the migrant crisis?
Well, we're getting inundated by the federal government, Border Patrol, the Border Patrol agents are great, but they get their orders from above. They're just dropping off 800 to 900 migrants a day here in San Diego County. And most of the migrants that they're actually dropping off are adult men and women, predominantly men, and people from all over the world, all over the country. We're getting a lot of Chinese. We're getting a lot of people from Ecuador. We're getting a lot.
That was from a year ago. Nick Shirley interviewing San Diego County Supervisor Jim Desmond when slow Joe Biden was president. And they're just dropping them off like cordwood out here.
A lot of people just from Pakistan and all over the world. China is number one, though, here lately.
Is San Diego accepting the migrants? Do they want them to stay here, or are they trying to get them outside of the city?
We're hoping they leave as soon as possible. Is what we're trying to, what we would like for them to do. But the federal government is giving no assistance and just dropping them here at our streets. So we're
again. That was Joe Biden. Joe Biden and the Biden administration with the 20 to 30 million illegal invasion. That was Nick Shirley again earlier, well, in 2024, when Slow Joe was president. And again, only a few of us were covering it back then. El Presidente hit the X Wars. Minnesota daycare scandal sparks concern over election policy that allows voters to vouch for others. Made for fraud. 111%. Let's get the election stuff squared off before the 2026 midterms. There isn't much time left. Why are we screwing around? This is what people are frustrated about. That's why they do knee-jerk stuff and vote for Mamdani and stuff. If you're not getting the job done, then people are just in a mind, we're going to switch off. We're going to switch whomever's in there. And we're just going to, even if it's wrong, we're going to do something. People want action. They're tired of the screwing around stuff. More breaking out. This is in Philadelphia. View.
The Maternity Care Coalition is a nonprofit that got $23 million from the government to run daycares like this. So it is 2 p.m. This place is supposed to be open. It closes at around 4:30. We're going to try and buzz one more time to see if anybody opens up. Looking for childcare. Okay, so nobody's going to open. Okay, another entrance. Gonna knock again. Again, it's 2 p.m., so within operating hours, this place should be open. Call the number on their website, and let's see if they answer.
Thank you for calling Maternity Care Coalition. We're closed for the Independence Day holiday.
It's a little bit cold for Independence Day.
They're called Independence Day. 23 million. This is making Minnesota look like chump change. When does this stuff stop? When we stick our foot down. We got to get our badass on in 2026 like you've never seen it before. Or this stuff is just going to continue. There's another one. 14 million for a Somali shell company, over 40. Over 40 daycares registered to one defunct Somali shell company and collected 14 million in 2024 alone. Oh, there's more. How about the other Washington, clear on the West Coast, the state of Washington?
Oh yeah, I was trying to find the local daycares.
We already know about what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
This is a licensed property. If you have a complaint, go to the state.
Okay, I was trying to find out if you guys are a daycare. I was just trying to see.
You don't have to. Yeah, you don't have to. If you want to know any questions, just go online and ask who you need to ask. But
No, there's nobody online to ask, so I'm just trying to ask you guys.
No, you don't have to ask us anything.
I don't have
But
to?
If you have any questions, go
I
to
do.
the state.
I have a question. I was just asking you guys.
And
Okay, you guys were listed on the website, a bunch of websites, so for daycares, so.
Oh, that's what it is. Then you don't need to go door to door.
It's yeah, no, you can. Yeah, I have. You can go door to door.
So if you have any questions, go call the child care check, and they'll give you whatever information that you need.
Okay, so you guys aren't a daycare then? Not a public daycare, right? Okay, I didn't think so.
Don't report our property either.
Oh, I can, yeah. So these ones were really hostile. I just knocked on the door just to see if there's a local daycare listed on the websites. It said contact the state. Interesting.
So, if you're taking taxpayer money, why shouldn't we, the people, be allowed? And this is a residential neighborhood. There's no fence, no security. per se. Or what's going on? Why so defensive? Two children getting daycare in Kent, Washington, and collecting $200,000, according to this report.
We are on our way to Omar Muna Child Care, which is just 1 mile away from the last place we went to. According to Kristen Mag, they received $191,000 between 2023 and 2025, and in 2025 alone have received $74,000. So this is Omar Muna S Child Care, apparently. Hi, is this Omar Muna Child Care?
Yeah.
I was wondering if I could get an application.
An application?
Yeah. Is that possible?
Yeah, but are you trying to enroll a kid or is it?
Yeah, for my kid.
So he rolls up at a daycare center and wants to enroll a kid. And like, oh. $200,000. $200,000 for 2 kids?
Biennium, which includes the first half of 2025, paid them out $74,000. Now, what's interesting is, check this out. They're licensed for 12 kids. You can see that right here. They have 10 available slots, which means they can take on 10 children with a license capacity of 12. They only have 2 kids. $191,000 this year for 2 children. The inspection report is surprisingly clean, minus one failed or missed training. I noticed that their license goes all the way back to 2005. The early
Back to 2005? They've been pulling the scam possibly for 20 years? This is beyond amazing. Now, you want to see how pathetic the Mockingbird media is. They were trying to, have one of those gotcha moments for the evil Nick Shirley.
Done enough. I mean, they would say, look, these fraud cases have been going on, but they've already done like 80 indictments. The cases have been going on, for years.
And why did I show up one day in Minnesota and go to all these daycares, no children, they're receiving millions of dollars. We uncovered nearly $110 million in fraud in one day.
How do you know that all the allegations that you're making are true?
How do I know that they're true? Well, we showed you guys what was happening, and then you guys can go ahead and make your own analysis.
We're coming so we can make our own analysis. Are you 100% sure you're true?
Yeah, I am 100% sure I'm true.
CNN is looking into Shirley's claims.
Hi, my name's Whitney Wild. I'm a correspondent for CNN.
We reached out to several of the daycares featured in the now viral video. Only one daycare facility answered and said they are a legitimate business.
Have you seen the videos?
He's the evil one, that racist, as Tampon Timmy the retard Walls called him. This stuff, it would almost be unbelievable if you weren't seeing it live and in living color. We have this clown. He called Nick Shirley a racist, white supremacist, or some darn thing. Who knows how much the fraud is going to be out of Minnesota. As Trump said,
30 seconds, 30 seconds.
How can you imagine how much the fraud is in California? We're 5 times bigger the population and way smarter on how to rip people off of their wealth in California by their boatloads. I mean, it's going to be absolutely nuts, crazy of that.
5 seconds, and Susan's on the line.
You got it. We'll be on the Mighty Met here quickly.
IE Newswire Daily is on the air.
The following is a paid program. Views and claims expressed are those of the program producer and are not endorsed by this station. Opinions expressed are not necessarily those of radio station KMET, its management, employees, or affiliates.
There's funky slide guitar music that comes on every Monday through Friday, live at 5:30 on the Mighty Met 1490 AM, broadcasting all over the Inland Empire and the aforementioned AM band. Join your vast video audience in the UFB Network, Rumble, X, YouTube. Check us out, subscribe, type in IE Newswire or Roy Bleckert on all those aforementioned ones. On that, covered all. This is it. Wrap her up in 2025. It's done. 6.5 hours, and we're going to be into 2026. And I've been getting a lot of positive reaction to this, and from the intro we played of the young lady who said, basically America's just pissed off. We want this stuff fixed. We want the criminals put in jail. We want our pockets quitting to be being picked of that. And we should deem the theme for 2026 is 2026 is going to be the year of the badass. And we better do it, or we're going to go down in flames. We're going to make Venezuela look like the richest country in the world if we don't knock this ridiculous stuff off of that. More breaking news all across the board on the scandals coming up from coast to coast on the daycare fraud. Obamacare is failed. The subsidies end. They were only supposed to be temporary. It's 15 years later. We can't bleed it off. This goes to show why government programs fail. No matter how much you do, and nobody else is paying for your health care. You are. Well, that's why you got too much month at the end of the money. But as we usually do on a Monday, we have the famed editorial writer, columnist for the Press Enterprise, San Bernardino Sun, Inland Daily Bulletin, Redlands Daily Facts. More important to me, Vice President of Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association, Susan Shelley. Welcome to IE Newswire with Roy.
Thank you, Roy. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year on that. Well, let's try with that. What's the highlights you got of 2025?
I think the highlight of 2025 was President Trump taking office and just starting to fix things. He's not done with it all yet, but what he has fixed is magnificent. He bombed the Iranian nuclear sites. He took away that threat, which was destabilizing the planet. And, of course, he closed the southern border to illegal immigration, which everyone said couldn't be done. And he did it. He did it so fast, people have completely stopped talking about it. I just think that the highlight of the year is finding out that our government doesn't have to fail. It's failing only when we have terrible people in charge of it.
1,000%. And I think we're seeing it. I think the greatest thing about the last week of that is people are finally being exposed to the massive amount of corruption. I know you've talked about, I've talked about, a lot of others have been, but it's never really, I don't think it's grabbed, even with Trump. I don't think it's grabbed the specificity, or I believe that word, but the specific of what we're seeing today. People are looking at, we just had one guy run out in the state of Washington, one Somali run daycare center out of a house is getting $200,000 for 2 kids. No, explain that, and people are seeing that and their jaws are dropping. Maybe this last week will be the impetus that will give people the will to move forward and stomp this stuff out. Susan Shelley.
I think so, because it looks to me like everybody in government knows exactly what's happening. They're getting a little taste of it. That probably explains the homelessness spending and the billions they can't find. They know where it went. They just didn't write it down. And I think this business of just invoicing the government and then these government people just pay the invoices. Elon Musk touched on this when he was doing the Doge effort, that they didn't even have a field on the form to say what the payment was for. So there was no way to verify whether it was authorized. So he just added payment codes, and it was like this giant fight in the bureaucracy over that. Obviously, they're just flat out stealing the money. And the scale of it boggles the mind. It's tens and hundreds of billions of dollars across the country. And when you see the budget of Los Angeles being in deficit, the budget of the county being under pressure, how much money is going to these NGOs of different kinds, anti-gang prevention types of programs and healthcare programs and this and that and homelessness, this and that? And how much of that money is just a bunch of invoices being paid for nothing, completely corrupt, and then with kickbacks to the politicians to make sure they're never investigated? It certainly explains a lot. When you take apart what's happening in Minnesota and you see it, you can certainly see what's going on in Los Angeles and in California more broadly.
It reminded me when you said, well, you know, and I believe there are crooks and thieves that are doing this with all this NGOs, the vagrant deal, everything. Reminds me of the way the mob used to do stuff. They used to they didn't use telephones. They didn't even write anything down. That's why they passed messages between people, because they could eliminate people of that if you talk. So, but I mean, yeah, it used to be, the corruption and stuff used to be at a you know, you're always going to have some amount of it. There's a certain amount of corruption you can tolerate. You know, maybe 2 or 3% or 5% or something like that. We're getting to the point where it seems like everything associated, not only from the district of criminals down, like you said, California, your local areas, school districts, city councils, board of supervisors, sewer cleaning commissioner. It seems like everybody is just completely corrupt today, Susan.
Well, it does. And you're right. People will tolerate a certain amount of corruption, but only if the government is filling the needs of the public, if they're fixing the streets, if the schools are good, if things are operating, if the street lights are on. But you go through California, the street lights are out, homeless encampments everywhere, filth and litter and garbage all over the place. And for the people who are tax-paying, home-owning, stable, working citizens, you park 10 minutes over at a meter and they're coming at you with a ticket book. They want hundreds of dollars from you. And everything else is absolutely corrupt. It's pretty frustrating, and the taxes here are very high. And next year we are going to see so many new taxes on the ballot, it will boggle your mind. They'll be coming from the cities, from the counties, and from all these special interest groups that are going to do initiative tax increases through that infamous upland loophole that we've talked about, where they don't have to meet the 2/3 requirement if they put it on the ballot with signatures instead of a city council resolution. So this is terrible. You've got all this fraud. You've got terrible city and county services and state services, and then they want more money in taxes. What a terrible trio that is politically. It could be a very interesting election in 2026.
Oh, the one that completely blew my mind is the one they're proposing in San Diego County. They're proposing a local payroll tax, like the federal payroll tax or the state payroll tax. Now the local government. This is, and we always talk about it, we're going to talk about it early. This is why you've got to join organizations like Howard Drivers Taxpayers Association, and then get your friends and neighbors and relatives. Not only should we not be voting for tax increases, we should start repealing some of these taxes, because if this latest example that's been breaking this last week, if this doesn't convince the vast majority that they're being ripped off like no other society's been ripped off before, I don't know what else would do it, Susan.
I agree with you. And it's pretty easy to get a tax measure repeal on the ballot because there's a special provision in Prop 218, which was a Howard Jarvis initiative that passed in 1996. And it says that you can repeal, voters can repeal any tax, fee, assessment, or charge with an initiative, and it only needs 5% of the number of people who cast votes in the last election for governor, which is a lower threshold than the typical local initiative threshold. For instance, in Los Angeles right now, a local initiative needs about 140,000 signatures, but a tax reduction initiative has a lower threshold. It only needs, I think, 46,000 signatures, so that's a big difference. So yes, local taxes can be repealed. I recommend it. I think it's a great idea. You'll get your calls returned when you call the county or the city after you put one of those things on the ballot.
I think we need to strengthen Prop 13. It needs to be a 2/3 vote. Yes. I don't care if it's bonds. I don't care if they're raising fees. I don't care whatever they call it. If it raises revenue, it has to be approved by 2/3 of the voters. No exemptions, no clear cut, no interpretation. 2/3 vote of the people. If you're increasing any sort, I don't care if it's a gumball tax. I don't care what it is. If it costs money, it should be a 2/3 vote of the people, or it doesn't happen. I think that would go a long way in knocking off what the assault we've been under the past 20 or 30 years, Susan.
Absolutely, and another way to do it is to say no initiative tax increases. They must go through an elected government body. Because with these initiative tax increases, every special interest group can write their own tax increase, and they just keep stacking up until we're all broke. At least if they go through a city council, they have to take note of the fact that they're doing 7 of them at once. It's going to attract attention. But when you have these different initiatives, and they're all coming from different places, and they all get on the ballot, and they all sound wonderful, like they're taxing someone else to solve a serious problem that you're having, people are going to vote for them, and they only need to squeak through with a simple majority under these court-created loopholes. So yes, you're right. These problems can be fixed with the initiative process. It is difficult, and I think the Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association is a great vehicle for doing them, but we need more members because it's very expensive to pay for signature collection. We need more people just on our mailing list getting these petitions from us and signing them and sending them back. That's how we're going to fix this.
And I know, the cost of these things, like you said, are putting it on. I mean, what would you say would be a ballpark figure it would cost if you wanted to, let's say you're going to, because we know the current California legislature is not going to come up with anything. Right. It is. If we, let's say HJTA is leading the charge and we need that, how much money would it cost just to get a initiative like that said 2/3 voters got to vote on it no matter what, just strengthening Prop 13? What would it cost to get that, just to get it on the ballot? Get the signatures, all that stuff. What would be a ballpark number?
I would say under the current numbers, where you need about 875,000 signatures, valid signatures, to get a statewide initiative on the ballot, a constitutional amendment initiative, I would say you could do it for $4 million. But if you're going to pay for signatures, and just for easy figuring, suppose you have to pay a total of $10 a signature, and you need 875,000 signatures, well, you really need 1 million signatures because some won't be valid. So if you need 1 million signatures at $10 each, that's $10 million. And that's pretty much out of the reach of grassroots organizations. But it's not impossible because you also have volunteers, and you have the members of Howard Jarvis, and you have all the people who will hear about it and sign it without anyone being paid to put a clipboard in front of them. So there are ways to do it with advertising, with outreach, with volunteers, and then maybe supplemented with paid signature gathering. So I think it can be done for about $4 million.
So let's just say anywhere between 5 and 10, depending on how you have to approach it. 5 being probably the least optim or the best case scenario, and probably 10 plus if you're really if you're really going after the gusto on this stuff. Because I really think we need to start looking at putting this on, and again, like Prop 13, 50 some odd or 40s, whatever it's been for almost 50 years, I guess, since we've almost done that. Put that on did a major reshaping of California for the good. Let's put it that way. I think we need to start really putting some effort and seeing who's going to be on board to help facilitate something like this. Because I really think we need to get that going, because I think that would be a major building block to rebuilding California. Switching gears, I want to get to your columns this week. One of them, the no truer headline has ever been in. Who pays for the California's war on drivers? You do. And this has been my thing. The end user pays for everything on there. Nobody else. But explain it, Susan Shelley.
Yes. Well, there are several different laws that have been put in place that are making gasoline more expensive in California, and nobody wants to take responsibility for it. They all want to blame the oil companies. It's not the oil companies. One of these laws is SB 445, I think it is, from 2014, signed by Governor Jerry Brown, which forced all the gas stations in California to replace their underground storage tanks with double-walled tanks. And we have finally reached the deadline for them to do that. Any gas station that hasn't complied already, from smaller companies, independents, if they didn't have the money to do it, they're going to have to close permanently. So there could be a lot of gas stations just closing in 2026. And of course, the combination of having to pay for that remodeling of the tanks and then less competition as some of the lower price stations close, that's going to push gas prices up. But you can't blame anybody because they're all gone. They did this 10 years ago with a 10-year deadline, and now it's here. So that's one thing that's pushing up gas prices. And the other thing is that Gavin Newsom has called 2 special sessions in 2023 and 2024 to, quote, crack down on the oil companies. For what? For what crime? Well, there is no crime. There's only the crackdown. So he's got the California Energy Commission just enforcing while they fill out forms and turn over data about everything to see if they're making, quote, excess profit. And then they've got this other regulation following year that regulates how much inventory these refineries keep on hand in order to prevent price spikes. Well, what does the state government know about any of that? They don't. So what's happening? The oil companies don't want to work under these conditions. 2 more refineries are closing, and gas prices are going to go higher in California directly as a result of Gavin Newsom.
It's absolutely, I mean, you bring up that deal about the gas storage tanks. They had the hearing and the vote on there down here in Riverside at the Carr building, the Mary Nichols building, the fraud that started, just for a little history. She was the lawyer that sued in Riverside, California on the first smog deal in 72. Then she got appointed to Carr board and came out with a phony study that built all this, most of this stuff that they did, said, we're all going to die of diesel smoke and this and that and that. And it was a fraud study. The person that was doing it, had a degree in Mongolian basket weaving or something. He had no credentials.
This is true. The guy who did the statistics had a diploma, mill diploma. You're absolutely right.
Exactly. And I mean, some credible people went in and said, if you took every diesel powered generator, tractor, truck, anything that was running in the state of California and ran it 24/7, 365, you could not put out the amount of pollution that they were talking about. It was so incredibly destructive, but we're paying the price like we did here with that vote. And this is what drives me nuts, is they bust, somewhere between 50 and 100 people from Central California, poor farm workers, whatever, barely speaking English if they did, on that. They bust them all the way in from freaking Bakersfield to saying, we got asthma and we're going to die to pass that deal of, we got to have storage. They made the emotional plea to do that, and that's what we got. we've got to stop this stuff before we run everything into the ground, Susan.
You're so right. I was at one of those meetings also. They had to do with truck engines out there at the South Coast Air Quality Management District. And it was the same thing. They bust in people to say, I have relatives with asthma. Well, where's the evidence that the asthma was caused by anything that was being discussed at that meeting? You didn't need any evidence. You just had people saying asthma. And this is not science. This is propaganda. And all it does is make everything more expensive without improving anybody's health. And it's got to stop.
1,000%. Your other column, dealing with it. Oh, man. Maybe this will come. They finally gave up with the lawsuit of suing Trump when he cut off the funds on this. But the High-Speed Rail Authority wants to hear from you. I don't think they really do, but you're right. So let them hear it. I hope everybody floods them with this, Susan.
Well, yes, the High-Speed Rail Authority has released its draft environmental review of the Los Angeles to Anaheim bullet train. Did you know there was a Los Angeles to Anaheim bullet train?
No,
but there isn't one. It's completely fictional. But they went ahead and they did the environmental impact report, and they looked at, historical sites and archaeological sites and sensitive sites and water and traffic and soil and absolutely everything that you could possibly consider an environmental impact. They've got 98 PDF files. It's a 3-volume report on their website. The summary is 100 pages. And if you'd like to comment on it, they're going to do public comment meetings, 4 of them. 3 of them are in person in Santa Fe Springs, Anaheim, and Commerce. And one of them is online. At the end of January, you can register online and ask your questions on Zoom. It's crazy. There's never going to be a train between Los Angeles and Anaheim in this bullet train project. They don't have the money to finish Merced to Bakersfield.
I mean, I don't know if the boondoggle of a bullet train isn't the all-time in recorded history, the absolute worst, corrupt, money down the toilet project there has ever been. I'd like to hear the one that's even come close to this thing.
I don't think anything could have wasted as much time and money as the bullet train did. I think it's really in a class by itself for all eternity.
1,000%. We got about a minute left. Tell them why they should join HJTA Go.
Well, as we were saying, if you want to fix California, you need a group that's organized to do it. And the Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association is that group. It represents you in the legislature, in the courts, and on the ballot. And you can be a member for just $15 a year. $15 a year. You support the organization. You strengthen your voice in California. You strengthen the voice of all taxpayers. And you're on that mailing list to get the petition when we do an initiative, and you can get it in the mail yourself. You don't have to go look for somebody with a clipboard outside a supermarket. We need the help of all taxpayers of California to fix this state. So if you haven't already become a member, please join. And also go to SaveProp13.com. That's where we have our current initiative petition available. You can download it and print it at home or have it mailed to you. SaveProp13.com. It's very important. And the deadline is coming up in February. So tell everyone you know, SaveProp13.com.
You got it. We'll see you in 26. Thanks for being on, Susan.
Thank you, Roy. Happy New Year.
You got it. Susan Shelley, Vice President of Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association and columnist extraordinaire for the Southern California News Group. I think they got 11 papers around Southern California of that. And Susan usually puts, she's usually got 2 columns in there. And I'm curious to see, she's written columns for the New York Post. I'm wondering, since the California Post is supposed to debate here in the coming 2026, which will be in T-minus 6 hours and 6 minutes of that. I wonder if she'll be writing some stuff for there. We'll see. And if she does, we'll bring them to you. Again, I don't know if the latest outbreak of just outright fraud, corruption, and just in your face theft. That's what it is. They've been stealing from us and stealing from us and stealing from us. But I would say in the last 30 years, and it started in California, they haven't just been stealing. It's been ripping us off at a pace that is just unprecedented. We shall see how this all shakes out. Man, oh man, we'll hit some of the locale stories, as they say. Homeless killer charged with murder. Ray J. Waters, 23, arrested in a brutal attack of a Riverside man. 2 vagrants got in an argument or whatever in the street horror in Riverside. One was stabbed to death. They have made an arrest of the other vagrant who allegedly did the stabbing, Ray J. Waters, of that. The vagrant charged with murder in the stabbing of another vagrant. Let's hope we're not reporting more. Let's hope this is the last one of these we're reporting on that. Absolute tragic news coming out of Riverside County in Nuevo here in the Inland Empire. A firefighter died after a house fire in Riverside County. He suffered a medical emergency, was transported to the hospital where unfortunately he succumbed to that. So rest easy, sir, of that. And when we get the name of the fallen firefighter, we will definitely report it on IA Newswire, and hopefully we'll have it for you tomorrow. Another one up in the high desert, a street fight turned bloody as 2 were stabbed in a late night melee going on. Charges were in Oro Grande, assault with a deadly weapon, investigations ongoing. Gabriel Lopez is facing felony charges in that melee. So again, we need to, I get that people are frustrated on stuff. You know, the chaos that's going on all across drives people nuts. Daniel Hernandez, was missing for a week, was discovered on Highway 74 out on its easterly end out there in the lower desert. He had a rescue and was transported by airlift to a hospital in stable condition. So good ending to that story of that. A teen was shot at the Moreno Valley Mall Tuesday evening. We'll hopefully have some updates on that story tomorrow. And as we say, that shall do it for the locale stuff, and that shall do it for 2025 as we sign out for that. 6 hours and 2 minutes and counting till we're kicking off, as I've deemed it, 2026, the year of the badass. Let's see if we can make it happen. That'll do it for today. As we usually say at this time, it's mandatory you're back here in 23 hours. Right? You're the best darn show in the whole wide world. Until then, see ya.
All right. Have a great night.
You got it.